Hi, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing some summer and vacation book recs. So with summer coming up, I wanted to share some book recs of some great books that I think you should read this summer. So all of these books I feel like fit within kind of a summer theme, and they're all books that I've read within the past year pretty much that I just think would be perfect to read around this time. I know I have certain books that are on my shelf that I've pretty much just been saving to read in the summer because they have more of like a summery feel to them, or they're like kind of like beach type books. So first I'm going to talk about an author, which is Emily Henry, because I feel like all of her books are just perfect summer reads. So the first book is Beach Read. This is her first book. Well, it's not her first book. It's the first book that I've read by her. And then the next book is People We Meet on Vacation, which was released last year around May. And then the next book is Book Lovers, which was just released this May. So these books I have read and loved all three of them. They're all so good. They're all kind of different though from each other. So starting with Beach Read, this one is kind of a rivals to lovers story. But yeah, I read it last April and I just thought it was like perfect for the summertime. Obviously I didn't read it in the summer, but while I was reading it I was thinking about how it would be a good book to read in the summer. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot. It definitely has a good balance between it being kind of a serious book but also being lighthearted. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a rom-com, but it does kind of have some of those like rom-com elements in it. But yeah, it does take place in Michigan, so technically they're not like at the ocean, they're at a lake, but it is a really cute book and I really enjoyed it and I would definitely recommend this one. And then People We Meet on Vacation is probably the most lighthearted of these three books. This one is definitely more of a rom-com. This one's best friends to lovers and they go on vacations every year, so you get to see the different vacations and the different places that they go to. I love this book a lot. It's one of my favorites. It's definitely my favorite by Emily Henry. It's also definitely the more different of the three. The other two are kind of more similar to each other, and then this one is definitely just a lot more like lighthearted, like a rom-com. So a lot of people don't like this one as much, but personally it's my favorite. And I actually did read this one kind of last summer. I read it in May, like when I was going on vacation, so I thought it was a good book to read around that time. And yeah, I just really love this one. I would highly recommend it for this summer. And then Book Lovers, this one is the one I read most recently because it just came out at the beginning of May. I did a reading vlog for this one. I loved this book. It was so good. It definitely is again a book that I wouldn't classify as a rom-com, but it does have that balance of having kind of those rom-com elements in it, kind of like Beach Read. So this one is definitely similar to Beach Read. If you liked that one, I think you would like this one. This one also kind of has a small town romance. It does take place in the summer. The main character and her sister go to this small town for like a month on vacation, and the main character works in publishing and she runs into this guy who also works in publishing, but they're kind of rivals. And yeah, it kind of goes from there. It's kind of a romance between the two of them. But yeah, this one, I loved it. It's so good. I think all of Emily Henry's books are just perfect for the summertime. Next, I'm going to talk about another author, and that is Tessa Bailey. So she has a bunch of different rom-coms, but there's two that I'm specifically going to mention in this video. So the first one is It Happened One Summer. I have talked about this book before, I'm pretty sure, but it's Grumpy Sunshine, and the main character is from LA. She goes to this small town and meets this fisherman. They live very different lives, but they kind of fall for each other. It takes place like in this kind of coastal town, and so you get a lot of like that sort of vibe. It takes place in Washington and it's really cute. I really love this book a lot. I feel like this is a popular book, but I feel like it's a really good one for summer. I read this one last summer and I just thought it was so cute. And then I loved that book so much that obviously I read the second one, which is Hook, Line, and Sinker. So this one follows the sister of the main character in It Happened One Summer and the best friend of the other main character. And this book is Friends to Lovers. It's kind of a similar concept, I guess, where she goes to the small town and her and this guy are kind of complete opposites, but they fall for each other. And this one's so cute. I loved it so much. I did love It Happened One Summer more, but this one was still a really good book. And it's also pretty similar to It Happened One Summer, so I would definitely recommend this one too. So yeah, both of these books are so good for summertime. Like I said, I read It Happened One Summer last summer, and then Hook, Line, and Sinker, I read it in March when it came out. But yeah, I think they're both really cute books to read this summer. So next I have a few rom-coms. I feel like rom-coms are perfect books to read in the summer. Obviously the ones I just mentioned were also rom-coms, and so these are just a couple that I really loved that I actually did not read on vacation or at the beach. I actually didn't even read these in the summertime, but they're books that were just so cute and like reminded me of summer that I wish I had read them in the summer. So the first book is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I feel like this book is really popular and gets talked about a lot, but I really enjoyed it. This was actually the first rom-com I ever read, and this one is enemies to lovers, and they go to Hawaii and they have to like fake date or pretend that they're married. And so yeah, this one was so cute. I will admit that I have since read much better rom-coms that I've like enjoyed a lot more. I know like when I first read this book I loved it so much, but since then I have read other books that I've definitely enjoyed a lot more. But this one, I read it like in February of 2021 and I have been wanting to read this book at the beach. I just feel like it's a perfect book to read at the beach. I haven't been to the beach in like a really long time, but if I were to go on a beach vacation, like this is the book I would want to take, and I would be willing to reread it just to like get the full like reading this in the summertime like experience. So the next book I'm going to talk about is Shipped by Angie Hockman. This one is an enemies to lovers rom-com. It's also a workplace rom-com, and the two main characters work together but they don't like each other. And this one is really similar to The Unhoneymooners and The Hating Game. Like if you liked those, you'd probably like this one. It's kind of a combination of those two books. But even if you didn't like those, I would still recommend this one because I wasn't a huge fan of The Hating Game and I thought this book was really cute, and I think I liked it even more than The Unhoneymooners. But basically these two main characters work for a cruise line. I think they work like in the marketing department, and they're both up for the same promotion, so they go on this cruise to kind of create a proposal to potentially get the job that they both want. But obviously the two of them don't like each other, but they kind of keep running into each other on this cruise. And this one was really cute. I really liked it a lot. I read it in September of last year, so I've talked about it before on this channel because it was in a wrap-up video. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot. I would definitely recommend it. It's definitely like not completely romance, like there's a lot more to it than the romance. I feel like the romance was almost like a side plot in some ways. But yeah, it was definitely a really cute book. So the next book I'm going to talk about is one that I've talked about before, but I'm going to talk about it again, and that's The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I won't go too into it because I feel like I talk about this book way too much and I mention it like any chance that I get. But basically it's enemies to lovers. It's a rom-com. The two of them go to Spain for the main character's sister's wedding, and so it doesn't completely take place in Spain, but I don't know, it kind of has like fun vacation-y vibes to it. So I really liked that part of the story. This one I did read it last summer and I read it while I was on vacation, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I love this book a lot. I always talk about it, I feel like. So I'm trying to talk about it less because I know I mention it like any chance that I get, but I highly recommend this one. It is a slow burn. It's really long. It's like 400-ish pages, over 400 pages, and yeah, it's a slow book, but I think it's worth it and I really love this one. So the next book is one that I really love. It's another one of my favorites. I feel like I don't think I really talked about it before or ever on this channel, but the book is Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. So this one, again, I read it last summer, last June I think, maybe July, and it's so good. But this book is just one of her underrated books that I feel like needs to be talked about more. So this book takes place in Texas, I think kind of near Galveston, and I'm from Texas, so I really liked that about this book. I've never been to where this book takes place, but the way this book like was written and just like the way I like was so into the story, it made me want to go there. I don't know if it's even worth visiting, but it just like I just really enjoyed this book so much that I have been wanting to go there. But yeah, but this book was so good. Like I said, it's just so incredibly underrated. I loved it so much. The main character, she goes to live with her dad, but she doesn't really have like a relationship with him, and basically she's there for the summer. I think she's about to go off to college, so she's just staying there for the summer, and he kind of has a family there already. Like he has a wife and a stepdaughter, so she kind of feels like she doesn't belong there, but she kind of has to stay there for the summer. While she's there, she meets this guy named Samson, and basically they kind of have like a romance together, obviously, but there's a lot of like kind of hidden things and just like stuff that they're both not really telling each other. She has a lot going on in her life that she's not really talking about, and basically the two of them, I don't think they plan to like let things get too serious between them, but obviously it never works out that way, and so they start to fall for each other. But yeah, this one is just so good. I loved it so much. I don't want to say too much because yeah, I went into this one blind and I didn't know anything going into it, and I'm so glad that I read it that way because it was just so good. But yeah, it's a great book. I highly recommend this one. This one is probably one of my favorites of these. It's really good. So those are kind of all the books that I wanted to go a little bit in detail about. I feel like another like good genre to read in the summer is rom-com, so I wanted to mention just a couple of my favorites that I really loved that I think would be also cute to read around summertime. These are all pretty lighthearted for the most part. Some of them are a little bit more serious, but yeah, but I just think they're like really cute, like fun books to read during this time. So first I want to mention the Friend Zone series by Abby Jimenez. So the first book is The Friend Zone, the second one is the Happy Ever After playlist, and then the third one is Life's Too Short. So all three of these books are, again, those type of books that are a good balance between like rom-com but then also having those serious topics. So definitely check trigger warnings for these books. My personal favorite is The Friend Zone, but this whole series is so cute. I'd recommend reading them in order. They are interconnected standalones. You don't have to read them all or read them in order, but you'll get spoilers if you don't. But yeah, so the first one, like I said, I loved it so much. It's Friends to Lovers. The second one, he is like a famous singer and she's obviously kind of this regular girl and she finds his dog and that's kind of how they meet. The third one is Friends to Lovers and they're also neighbors and they kind of start to like each other, but she doesn't want to be with him because of something. But yeah, and she kind of has like a really complicated life and a lot of things going on in her life. So yeah, all three of these are really great stories. I loved them so much. I love Abby Jimenez. I would definitely recommend these three books. The next book is The Bromance Book Club by Alyssa K. Adams. I read this one also last summer. It was a really cute book. I read it so quickly because it was just so good. It is written in third person. I'm not a fan of third person, but this one was so good that I just read it so quickly. So yeah, so this book is a second chance romance, marriage reconciliation. So if you like that trope, I think you'll love this book. And he's also a professional baseball player. And yeah, it's so good. It is part of a series. It's only the first one in the series. I haven't read the rest, but I loved the first one a lot. And then the next book is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle. I'm not sure if that's how you say her name, but this book is also so good. It is also another like kind of relationship reconciliation story. The two of them are engaged and then they kind of are sick of each other and want to end their engagement, but whoever ends it would end up with the bill of like all the wedding stuff. So they both kind of start driving each other to call the wedding off and they just kind of both keep like pushing each other further and further. And while doing that, they start to get closer to each other and they just kind of fall in love all over again. And yeah, it's a really cute book. I loved this one a lot. I think I also read this one last summer and it's just so good. I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, so those are just a few rom-coms that I wanted to quickly mention and go through. I feel like they're not exactly like summer type books, but they are really cute books to read like in the summertime if you're looking for something kind of more lighthearted. So yeah, those are all the books that I wanted to talk about. I also have a video that I'm going to be filming that's coming soon of my summer TBR, like books that I haven't read yet that I think would be good for summer that I'm hoping or planning to read this summer. So that will be coming soon if you want even more summery books, I guess. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you liked this and you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.